Hello and welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode 388, recorded March 19th, 2022. My name is Matt Jackson Jr. I am your host. I am a software developer, cybersecurity researcher, and TV host here at Cybersecurity Awareness TV. My show, if this is the first time you've heard of us, we provide information on cybersecurity awareness that can help protect you, your family, and your business from the fastest growing crimes of the 21st century, and that's our hackers and scammers. I want to thank everybody who's been a part of our show and supported us over the years here on WWDBTV here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you'd like to be a part of our show, you could do that as well. You can find out information about Cybersecurity Awareness TV by finding me on the internet at macjacksonjr.com. That's macjacksonjr.com. Remember, on social media, to share, like, and subscribe to all of our social media points on the internet. You could also support us here at Cybersecurity Awareness TV by being a Patreon at our Patreon channel at patreon.com/MacJacksonJr. That is patreon.com/MacJacksonJr. You can find the link right below here, patreon.com/MacJacksonJr. In today's episode, we're going to talk about cybersecurity, what's going on in Russia right now in Ukraine, the attacks that are going on in Russia, Ukraine. We see that the war is intensifying, but there's also an intense amount of cyber attacks that are affecting the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian government, and as well as the U.S., folks. This means it can affect you as well. These are important information that you should be aware of and you should know about. In our second segment, we're talking about the latest scams, folks, and these consist of the QR code scams. That's right, folks. Those little codes that you see on restaurants where they don't issue a menu, but they want you to use a QR code with your phone. There's big scammers, and hackers are finding a way to steal your information this way as well. We'll talk about that. And like we do every week, we will discuss ways to protect yourselves from these type of cyber threats and cyber attacks with tips and techniques. But first, in our first segment, we're talking about cybersecurity, what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine. As the war intensifies, Russia is attacking the Ukrainian people. It's been very intense attacks against them militarily. The Ukrainians are definitely fighting back. However, behind the scenes, folks, in which we don't see that much of, is the cyber war that's going on that are affecting the Ukrainian people and the world in general. Now, you may say, well, what does this cyber war has to do with me? It has a lot to do with you, folks, because if our infrastructure is threatened by this type of technology, it could damage our gas pipelines, which we have seen examples of that last year. It could damage our water systems, our power grids, and cause us to have a fight here in our country because our networks are down, because of hackers that are by the Russian government and also even not part of the Russian government, from other places, other nation states that are part of this cyber war that are attacking our country using technology. And yes, we are attacking back. Absolutely. We have some of the best cybersecurity hackers and white hat hackers available in the world that are attacking back offensively, folks. But these are things that we need to be aware of. Our State Department, of Homeland Security, has warned that every organization in the United States are at risk for these type of cyber threats. While Russia is potentially considered to escalating the cyber attacks against the USA, of course. So how does it, again, affect you? It can affect your money, folks. It can affect your money, your cash in your bank. If the ATMs stopped working because of a cyber threat, what would you do? We need to keep vigilant on our politicians and our governments to stay active about this and make sure that we are protecting our homeland and our data center. Here's a clip I have from MSNBC News on the warning by the Department of Homeland Security on the cyber threats coming from Russia.
Russia's confrontation with the West isn't just playing out in Ukraine, but also on the internet across the globe. As NBC's Tom Costello reports, U.S. officials are now warning companies to be on the lookout for cyber attacks.
In the cybersecurity world, the warning from Homeland Security is a flashing red light. Shields up, it warns. Every organization in the United States is at risk of a Russian cyber attack. From our power grids to our communication lines to banking systems, U.S. cyber officials fear a digital assault could bring the front lines of the war to America's front door. With Ukraine already under cyber attack, the European Union has activated its own cybersecurity team to help fight off the attacks. Now, New York has opened a new statewide Joint Cyber Operations Command Center.
Act as if you know that attack is coming, because if it comes and you're not ready, it can be devastating.
Recent cyber attacks have already exposed the potential impact on America's infrastructure. Last year, Russian-speaking cyber gangs launched a crippling attack on Colonial Pipelines, America's largest fuel pipeline operator, forcing a total shutdown and long lines at gas stations. Russian-linked gangs also targeted JBS, the world's largest meat processing company, forcing it to reduce operations at 13 of its plants in the U.S. The Kremlin denied involvement in either of those attacks, but experts warn the Kremlin may work with cyber criminals. Homeland Security says government offices at every level, U.S. businesses and organizations, should watch for Russian online activity and immediately shore up their cyber defenses. Verify all remote users' access, use multi-factor authentication, keep security software up to date, and monitor any traffic with Ukrainian offices or organizations.
The United States has the largest and the most technologically advanced economy in the world, but that also means we have the most points of attack.
The concern, a cyber war could quickly escalate, affecting citizens worldwide.
If they target our infrastructure, we could target theirs.
Exactly, and there's a snowball effect here. I don't think we really want to go down the line and see how civilians and organizations are going to get extremely hurt by this.
Yes, folks, the cyber threats we hear about from Washington and the bureaus around the world, especially here in our country, our legislators are concerned about these cyber threats and the rise of the Russian attacks, and that these kind of attacks can affect us here in our homeland as well. Our politicians are talking about it, and they are coming up with bills and regulations to protect us and protect our infrastructure. Here's a news clip from ABC News 7 on the growing threat of the Russian cyber attacks.
High alert in New York tonight for cyber attacks. That's the designation from high-ranking officials who say it is time to be ready for a cyber attack because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia, the prime suspect. So much of our lives so profoundly dependent on computers and networks of various kind for so much of our lives. Here's Darla Miles.
Cyber protection's up to you personally. It's up to you as a CEO of a business to personally put in the best cyber protection you can do.
There was no military conflict going on last year when the MTA was hacked and a major U.S. pipeline was shut down.
It's an urgent crisis. The risk level is as high as I've ever seen it.
Monday morning, the city's cybersecurity attack threat level elevated from high alert to ultra high alert. The alarm sounded today by Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, NYPD counterterrorism officials, and the city's chief technology officer.
You got to remember, in the cyber world, critical infrastructure, water, power, transport, 85% of it is privately run, so it can't just be a government-only security fence.
The city says it will know within seconds of a compromise. However, regular New Yorkers don't have sophisticated alert systems. But Senator Gillibrand says there are a few things you can do. 1, stay on top of software updates for your cell phone and your computer. Watch out for any suspicious emails asking to confirm personal information or demanding money. Enable two-factor authentication and secure passwords for all accounts.
That means making sure you have strong passwords, different ones for each account, from your bank account to your Instagram.
As you can see, folks, Russia and its gang of hackers are soldiers in the cyber war. And like I said before, we have our own cyber attackers as well, white hat attackers that are also fighting against the cyber attack. There's also a gang here called Anonymous that have been penetrating government websites around the world, and they are also attacking the Russian government as well. Now, Anonymous is not connected to the U.S. or the U.S. has any involvement with Anonymous, but we are all doing our part in protecting our homeland against these types of cyber threats. To emphasize this a little more, I've done some more investigation on this, and I have another clip to show you from our overseas news network, the BBC, that has an interesting story about the Ukrainian cyber war attack. Roll the clip.
Well, as Ukraine's military battles Russian troops on the ground, there's another battle taking place. It's in the digital realm. Ukraine's Cybersecurity Authority says the cyber conflict with Russia is unprecedented, describing it as the world's first hybrid war. Russia has been actively using disinformation to wage an information war against Ukraine, but now Ukraine is fighting back with the digital minister, Mikhailo Fedorov, leading the front by using social media to rally international support against Russia. So let's go live to Kyiv. We can speak to Ukraine's Deputy Minister of Digital Transformation, Alex Bornyakov. Good to see you, Alex. Thank you for taking the time. Tell us how you are fighting this war in the digital realm.
Hi, all. Thank you for this opportunity. So, we think that digital is an important part of this war as the fighting on the ground. Digital technologies are the main tool for achieving our goals. Now, this is a sort of weapon, and Russia was attacking our infrastructure for not just recently 2 weeks ago, starting from 2 weeks ago. They were attacking us for 8 years, and I would say that we kind of became immune to them. So we successfully defended our digital infrastructure. At this point, we created an IT army, which consists of 300,000 people who voluntarily joined this effort in order to, first of all, fight with the propaganda, fight with disinformation, and reach out to Russian people and say what exactly happening in Ukraine, what's the real situation. Also to disrupt digital infrastructure of Russia, because we think that they have to feel what we feel all these years, and they being kept in some sort of a bubble in Russia. But now with all the sanctions, with all our efforts, I think they start to realize that this also concerns them. They also involves all the people in Russia. So we believe that we have to keep fighting on this front as well.
Alex, how much help are you getting from the big social media companies in Silicon Valley particularly? And is that enough? Do you need more help, more support?
Well, one of the elements of this war is also what we call digital diplomacy. We talk to all the major social platforms, all the companies around tech companies around the world, and we think that this going very well. We know that there are a lot of hundreds of companies ban Russia. But still, there are plenty of them. And using this opportunity, I would like to say that don't support Russia. Go out from there, because every taxpayer dollar or ruble that goes to a Russian budget is aimed to kill civilian peoples. And this is what just you were talking about before, this atrocity in Mariupol with bombing maternity hospital. This is unacceptable. And but social media platforms responded very well, like Meta and Instagram and Google and YouTube are doing extraordinary measures in order to limit their propaganda, which became, from my point of view, as a means of war. It's not just their media. They use their media to spread lies, to turn things around, and this has to be stopped. And we're on the same page.
Yeah, you're talking about stopping that and countering disinformation. Are there other forms of cyber attack, though, taking place on other institutions in Ukraine? How are you combating that?
They attacking us instantly using like DDoS type of attacks at most. We now moving all the infrastructure to cloud using Amazon Web Services, Cloudflare, and protecting them from such attacks. Sometimes they penetrate it, but not for long. So far, almost all our services are working, and majority of websites of services in Ukraine are stable at this point.
Folks, like we have stated on the show, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, the message is clear. Organizations must stay proactive in the involvement and their understanding of what's going on regarding the cyber war. In other words, folks, hashtag stay cyber woke individually as well. You could do your part as well, folks. Listen to our next segment. We're going to talk about things you could do. Our segment in our show today where we talk about things that you can do to protect yourselves from these types of cyber threats, folks. We all must do our part to protect our homeland. We'll see you right back here, folks, after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here hashtag stay cyber woke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi folks, welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we're talking about cyber scams. That's right, folks, cyber scams. Here's the next one that law enforcement, FBI, wants the public to know about, and this has to do with QR codes. Folks, QR codes, we're now familiar with these little square QR digital codes that we see in restaurants, especially during the pandemic, where retailers have offered this type of technology to consumers in order to see the menu, with them not having to hand out a physical menu piece of paper, that you could actually use your phone to see your choices of the restaurant's menu. Well, scammers and hackers have found a way, folks, to get past this as well. And what they've done is that they have created fake stickers, which they will bring to a restaurant and pull off their fake sticker and put it over the restaurant's legitimate sticker. Unbeknownst to the consumer, when you take your phone out and you scan the QR code thinking it's from the actual retailer itself, you are then taken to a hacker's fake website. Now you may think, well, what will this do to you? Well, technically it can affect you in lots of different ways. It depends on how strong or how bad the website is. The website itself could be a fake website that's asking for personal information about you. You're thinking it's the restaurant, you entered the information, and by doing that, the website could also put malware onto your smart device. That's right, you could have malware put in your smart device. So there's some things that you could do, and we're going to talk about this in this episode with some other clips I have here and what you can do to protect yourselves from these types of scams that are happening now and what you can do to be aware of it. Our investigations found a really interesting clip I'd like you to take a look at from CNET News.
QR codes are everywhere, from your local cafe to the back of the share bikes you ride around the city. But they're also being used by scammers to steal your personal information. Here's how to spot a scam and how to protect yourself from malicious QR codes. QR codes used to be the kind of thing that you'd just see on ads or marketing flyers, but now these little square barcodes are appearing on everything, from AR games on pizza boxes down to light-up drone displays. And during the pandemic, they have been a game changer. We're using them to check into venues, to make payments. Even the fanciest restaurants are ditching their physical menus and going contactless with QR codes. But as they've become more popular and more convenient, cyber criminals have also taken notice. Now they're creating their own malicious QR codes to exploit people and trick them into handing over personal information like banking details. According to the Better Business Bureau, QR code scams have been on the rise. So as we start to use these handy little barcodes more and more, what do you need to know? Well, QR scams are similar to phishing scams that you might get sent via email with a link to a fake or malicious website. In this case, scanning the code won't necessarily download a bunch of malicious spyware onto your phone, but a scammer could use it to send you to a fake website where you fill out your personal information or your credit card details without thinking twice. Now, most of us have become pretty good at avoiding dodgy looking links in emails, but we mightn't be so diligent when it comes to whipping out our phone and scanning a QR code. But the same rules still apply. The Better Business Bureau says cybercriminals rely on us scanning the code quickly, without taking a closer look at what we're scanning or where it's sending us. So that leads us to rule number 1. Think before you scan. Yes, you want to get the drink specials menu at Tiki Tony's Mai Tai Hut, but take a closer look at that QR code before you scan it. Is it just a sticker, or is it part of a bigger sign or display? Is the QR code on a random flyer that someone handed to you in the middle of the street? Then it's probably best not to scan it. If the code looks out of place in amongst the background, ask for the URL so you can just type it in manually, or ask for a hard copy of what you're trying to download, like the restaurant menu. Rule 2, look at where the QR code is trying to send you. Here, you want to use the same skills that you use elsewhere when you're online. Is it leading you to the website that you were expecting? And does that website look like it should? If it's asking you for login details or banking information that it shouldn't need, then best to just avoid it altogether. Rule 3. Don't scan QR codes that come in emails. Security experts say that's just a good general rule. After all, if you're already on your laptop reading an email, ask yourself, why does it need you to connect on another device? Rule 4. Don't scan codes that come on unsolicited junk mail, like flyers offering to help you consolidate debt. This was one of the scams reported to the Better Business Bureau from a victim who received a fake letter about student loan debt with a QR code that made it look official, but it definitely wasn't. Rule 5. Preview the URL that the QR code is trying to send you to. Now, a lot of smartphones will give you a preview of the URL as you hover over it with your camera trying to scan it. That includes iPhones running the latest version of iOS. Make sure the website you see matches the service you're expecting. Does the link look strange? Well, if so, move on. Rule 6. Be wary of short links, like bit.ly addresses. If you can't read the full URL, you don't know where the link is actually sending you, and it could be malicious. Rule 7. You might want to avoid using your phone's camera altogether and opt for a secure scanning app. Now, these are designed to spot malicious links before your phone opens them. Some of the big antivirus companies like Trend Micro offer free scanning apps. But another word of warning, make sure you're getting the app from a legitimate company. There are plenty of fake apps out there that scrape user information. Yes, malicious apps and malicious QR codes. It is turtles all the way down, people. All right, finally, rule 8. Use a password manager. If a QR code takes you to a fake website that looks completely convincing to the human eye, your password manager will still know the difference and it won't autofill your password. Also, while I have you here, just get a password manager in general. It's easily the best $3 a month I have ever spent, and it was ridiculously easy to set up. CNET has a full rundown on the best password managers and how to set them up. We like LastPass, 1Password, and Bitwarden, depending on your needs, and I can give you some links to those below. So yes, QR codes are super convenient, but they're also a potential risk. So remember, stop and think, and if it looks dicey, then steer clear.
And like they were stating, folks, if you see any type of QR code that looks suspicious, let the restaurant manager of the establishment know about it. Some of these QR codes, if you could literally peel off the label of the sticker and see the one behind it, take it into the restaurant and let them know. Report that these QR codes are fake. It's amazing, folks. You know, these QR codes are meant to be a convenience way to provide information to us as a way to get you to the website without having to type in the long name of the website. Now, there's a technology also that's been out for a while that called tinyURL, which takes a long website and it shortens it down to a smaller website. There's Bitly and there's others that are like that, tinyURL. Well, nowadays you can't even use those sites because now the bad guys could take their fake websites and use these tinyURL websites to deceive you. So, as it states in the video here, folks, you need to be woke and stay vigilant. If you see a website that looks suspicious, do not click on it or go to it. And better yet, try not to even use the QR code. Just type in the name of the website if possible. Definitely, folks, stay cyber woke. We'll be right back after these messages. Hi, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Cybersecurity Awareness TV here on the WWDBTV on the Roku network, streaming live. You can find us there, folks, as well. I want to tell you about how you could support us, how you can support our show. It takes a lot of research of what we do to find clips and interviews with legal experts and law enforcement experts on cybersecurity awareness techniques and prevention to protect you and your business from cyber attacks. And one of the best ways, folks, is to join us on our Patreon channel at patreon.com/Mac Jackson Jr. That's patreon.com/Mac Jackson Jr. Folks, hashtag stay cyber woke. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. I'm your host, Mac Jackson Jr. In this segment, we talk about cybersecurity tips to protect yourselves from these types of cyber scams. As we've talked about today in this episode, things from QR codes, protection, what to do regarding the war going on in Ukraine, how it can affect you and your personal information. What you could do, folks, I like to reiterate some of the things we've seen in the videos, and one of them regarding the Ukrainian war, what you could do is make sure that all your smart devices are all updated with the latest software from the manufacturer. That you make sure that you use a VPN, that's a virtual private network. If you're on a Wi-Fi location that's not a secured one, such as a hotel room or a coffee shop, you make sure you have antivirus software on your smart devices and your phones. And the most important thing, folks, is the passwords. And again, every week I talk about passwords, emphasizing passwords. You will be surprised how many questions I get of victims of hacking, and it's their passwords are the ways that hackers were able to get their personal information. You must have a password that is unique for every website that you visit, a unique password. But here's the problem. As society progresses, we need more. We have opportunity for more websites to visit. Therefore, we need more passwords. You must have a way to manage these passwords. My best recommendation, folks, is to have a password management system. That's a password management software system that allows you to manage your passwords. Go to my website at MacJacksonJr.com. It's MacJacksonJr.com, and you'll find some password management software programs that can help you protect yourselves from these types of hackers that are out there. Again, folks, we almost stay vigilant. We always must stay vigilant in everything that we do to fight against this type of cyber attacks. If you need help or anything, please contact my office. You know how to get a hold of me. Again, my website is MacJacksonJr.com. It's MacJacksonJr.com. Or you can contact my company at Vanderson Cyber Group to help you put together policies and procedures for your business and protect you against these cyber threats. Until next week, folks, as we say every week, hashtag stay cyber woke. Thank you for visiting us here at Cybersecurity Awareness TV. See you next time.
You